All right, great. Today is Wednesday, March the 8th. This is our bi-monthly stakeholders meeting of the Parsons Area Merchants Association serving the south side of Columbus. Today's guest speaker is Mike Bowers, the district director for the Ohio Small Business Development Center at Columbus State. I was privileged when Councilmember Bankston held a small business roundup at Columbus State to hear a very short version of what the Small Business Development Center has to offer. That particular meeting was loaded with information, and so the goal here was to invite Mike to give the bigger presentation on the services that the Ohio Small Business Development Center has, and to get that disseminated to the businesses and the startups on the south side, and to kind of share that information more broadly. So Mike, if you want to go ahead and do an introduction, I'm going to stop sharing the cover slide and then you should be able to share.
All right, great. All right, what are we seeing here? Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out how I'm doing this. There it is.
Yes, yeah, there you go. Now we see your main slide, and your next slide is kind of a smaller version next to it. So
yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing, but
it's fine. We can see it fine. Yeah.
So anyway, so thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Again, my name is Mike Bowers. I'm with the Small Business Development Center at Columbus State Community College. And for those of you that are not familiar with the SBDC, we are a grant program. So while we are based at Columbus State, we are employees of Columbus State. This is a center of Columbus State. We are receiving funds from the Small Business Administration, the SBA. They go through the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio puts some funds into that effort, and then they come down to the local level to support entrepreneurship. And Small Business Development Center, really what we are about is small businesses. I mean, we're about really trying to support, businesses from the Main Street type of business, more traditional businesses, to more developed businesses as appropriate. And we feel locally, but I think that it's a fact that these small businesses, these Main Street Drive small businesses, the folks like down in the Parsons area, I mean, that's really what creates this kind of quality of life for all of us. So we were talking earlier about all the exciting things that are happening with Intel and, the Honda battery factories and all of these types of things, which are going to make a, big difference in the community. However, it's really these small businesses that are the ones that, make it exciting to be able to, live your life, to go downtown, to be able to do different things like that. So all of everybody who's listening, participating today that has gone out and started a small business, kudos to you, because you're making a significant difference for everybody. Small Business Development Center, as I was mentioning, is a grant funded program. There are 25 small businesses in small business development centers in the state of Ohio. There are close to 1,000 small businesses around the country. You see our footprint in Central Ohio, but again, a big chunk of what we do is in Columbus and Franklin County, because it's a significant demand for what's going on here. But this is a national type of program. The SBDC here in Central Ohio has actually been here since 1985. I joined the SBDC in 2002, and then we put the program at Columbus State in 2004. So we've been with Columbus State for almost 20 years. So it's been a great partnership. It allows us to really have, positive impact on the community, but also, provide support and services to the academic programs and different things like that, even though we don't do a ton of stuff for the community, for the academic side. We are in process of working with them to create some new stuff. So Columbus State's been a great place to be part of, a great place to have the Small Business Development Center, and Columbus State is growing by leaps and bounds and really making a significant impact to our community.
Do you want to take questions as you go or at the end?
Yeah, that's fine. However you want to do it.
I was just curious about how many businesses are actually incubated through the student population at Columbus State. Do people come there for like, an associate degree in business and want to start a small business, or is there not that much synergy between the university and the Small Business Development Center?
I think that a lot of the folks that come to Columbus State, they are coming for some sort of specific type of academic degree, for lack of a better word. They're either coming for an associate's degree, they're coming to get, some classes in to transfer to a 4-year on the academic side. There are a number of certificates that are available. So we're talking about Intel earlier. Columbus State, along, working with Intel and some of the other partners, have developed a pathway certificate for individuals that are want to be trained to potentially go work at Intel. So it's out of our engineering area to help folks that do that. So this is like a 1-year type of deal that they take the academic classes, but they're not getting a degree per se, but this is a targeted effort toward being able to provide the kind of services that are needed in an Intel type organization.
Oh, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. We work with some individuals at the college because they can come, straight to us. But we are in process of actually working to create a pathway for small business management too.
Oh, excellent.
So pretty smaller type of certification that individuals that, are interested in it, but don't have a lot of business background, which we find a lot, can come and be part of that. And the cool thing is that working on that pathway with that certificate, they can also be working on their individual business with the SBDC. So it's kind of an interesting thing that we are in process of. So don't go looking in a catalog for it because it's not done yet. But it's
Okay.
As I was mentioning, like I said, this is our team. We have 8 people on our team directly, and these individuals are what we call business advisors. They work with businesses, they do different things with the businesses, they have different expertise. So most of us have a general expertise, but we have individuals on this team that are very skilled in banking and funding. We have some marketing experts, social media experts. We have some folks that are really strong in the manufacturing and finance side, that can work with individuals that are looking to buy businesses, sell businesses, that need to do projections for funding, different things like that. So while we don't actually write plans and stuff, these guys have the expertise to make a big difference working with individuals. We also have an individual on our team, Roberta Winch, who is at the right. She is our export expert. So anybody who's actually looking to do business on an international basis, whether that's put boxes on a boat and send them someplace, or actually just go and do business on an international basis, that's her expertise. She works very closely with the state, with One Columbus. She works very closely with Ohio State University on the the export internship program, which is a very cool program.
Hmm.
So, like I said, we have a lot of pieces and parts to go with that. Just to give you a sense of some of the numbers. So these are the numbers that we did last year. We were able to actually work with over 5,500 businesses. I'll speak to that in a moment. We were able to facilitate over $13 million in funding. So while we don't have any of our own money that we're putting out there, we work with individuals to help get them ready. And, if they have a bank or they have somebody they're working with, great. If they don't, we have a lot of connections we can connect them with. But the big thing is really trying to get them prepared and get them ready and get them understanding what's involved and what is needed as it relates to that. We were able to support the formation of over 80 businesses, new businesses. These are self-reported numbers, so I'm sure that this is actually a low number. But I think we had a really significant impact. And what I found to be interesting, like I said, I've been doing this for a number of years, and the demand for our services escalated in 2020 due to the pandemic. And it was a challenge because we were in the same boat as everybody else. We were, hey, you got to get out of the office. You got to figure out how to work from home, because we didn't know how to do all this Zoom stuff back then. So it's kind of like, get out and go figure out how you're going to make this work and help out. And then all of a sudden people are calling about PPP and EIDL loans and other things, to try to help them and support them. So our numbers jumped out pretty significantly there. And over the last couple of years, I mean, we haven't seen that decrease significantly. So you would think, I know a lot of SBDCs are seeing it start to level back off. Here in Central Ohio, we haven't seen it level off, and it's not an issue of there's a whole lot of problems that people are trying to deal with. It's that people see opportunities and they are pursuing those. So that's exciting. So, I mentioned the SBDC and the things that we do. I'm a big proponent that, obviously there's risk inherent in everything. There's risk inherent in starting a business, but there's risk in going to work for somebody else too, So, I mean, I think that risk is a big piece that could be mitigated to some degree if you know what you're doing. And I think that that's really where the SBDC comes in, that we can provide, this knowledge, this experience that, a lot of first-time entrepreneurs don't have, even if you've been in business and you're, wanting to do something that you haven't done before. So maybe you've been in business, you've been successful, you self-funded everything. Now you need to get funding, you're looking for a loan or something like that. You don't know what you're doing, it makes it more difficult to get it figured out and make it work. So that's where I think we come in, is really trying to provide that expertise to help people avoid the mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make. And we can't avoid everything, but we've seen a lot and done a lot, and hopefully we can help individuals there.
Before you move on, I had a question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you don't provide the funding directly, but you have connections right into the financing angle. Do you see the availability of funding keeping up with the demand that you mentioned that you're seeing?
Honestly, I do. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I worked in banking prior to that. I actually ran a venture capital association here in town. So, I don't know that it's an issue of funding availability. Now, obviously, like banks and other financial institutions, they have their models, and their risk models and different things like that. So as the economy deteriorates, their risk level goes down, different things like that. But good opportunities, there's always money for.
Okay.
And I see people, I got people that call, more in the earlier stage, and they're like, hey, I need to get a loan, but I went to the bank and they don't seem to have an interest in startups, or they don't have an interest in what I do or my industry or something like that. And then I'll say, okay, well, can you send me your plan? Let me see what you went to talk to them about. Well, I don't have the plan yet, or, I don't really have a lot of detail. I just went to them and kind of told them what I was doing or wanted to do, and they didn't seem interested. Well, I don't know that that's a problem with the bank. It's a problem that they're not really prepared. And so we try to get them to understand what's needed and where they need to go. But yeah, I mean, the thing with Columbus, you can't, it's hard to turn a corner in Columbus, not run into a bank. And we've
Right.
got, really strong banks. We got really strong community banks, got, larger banks. We've been doing a lot of work with credit unions. So we have some really good credit unions that are really interested in supporting and working with small businesses. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Obviously, on the kind of the tech investment side, Rev One Ventures does a lot of work in that space. They do a great job in that space. And when I first started doing these types of things, the level of venture capital that was available locally was minuscule. And now we've got different venture firms, we've got more angel activity, different things like that. So there's a lot of opportunity, but the key is that you've got to be able to show them that, hey, you're ready and you got an understanding of what you're wanting to do here, and you got to make it appealing for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, we talk about the SBDC. A lot of times the SBDC gets rolled into this thing that we're just doing startups, and that's what we do. Now, obviously, I think we're really good at startups, but that's not the only thing we do. We work, all the way from, this idea stage. I got an idea and that's all I know, to, business has been a business for a long time and, are looking for succession planning or looking to, sell the business because they're looking to retire. This is kind of the retirement. So we work with folks all the way through that gamut. Our primary thrust is around one-on-one business advising. So I mentioned that we don't necessarily write plans and different things like that, but we work with individuals around what are their issues, what are they trying to do. We provide one-on-one business advising at no cost to the individual. So you can go to our SBDC or you could go to any of the SBDCs around the country, and that's baked into the government funding. So you're not going to ever have to pay for advising when you come to an SBDC. And like I said, we work all the way through the gamut. So whatever you might need, and we go from there. We also do a variety of different business trainings. Most of the trainings at no cost. Some trainings, depending on if we have cost in it, we'll put a small fee on it or something. But most of that stuff is free of charge to the user. And the way we do it in Central Ohio is that our training is really built around the advising. So if an individual is interested, needs marketing assistance, they could come in and work with our marketing expert, Tanya Wilson, one-on-one, but it's going to take a while because, it's, hey, we'll spend an hour working on it. You go off and do some things, then we'll try to find another date to get together and we'll do stuff. Right. But we may take that marketing program and say, okay, well, we're going to have a 4-session marketing program, which we do, spend a couple hours a week on it, and you'll have, be much farther ahead than if you try to do it one-on-one. So it's all really about accelerating where you are with your business. We have a really aggressive startup program that's been really successful, where we start out with a program called BASE, which is a overview workshop. As a matter of fact, there's one happening tonight. It's virtual. And I do that. And I just kind of go through, hey, what it means to start a business, what it looks like. Here's a plan to kind of do that. And, here's how the legal structure stuff works and all that. So we go through that. If an individual chooses to, they can go to the next level, which is what we call BidStar 2.0. And that is about market identification, value proposition, market research, all of the things you really need to do to understand your market and things of that nature. So we ask individuals to kind of move through that, but it actually moves them relatively quickly, and they come out of that with a lot of knowledge about how the process works.
And I have a question here too. So I was actually at the Neighborhood Design Center yesterday. Lisa's on our board, and we were talking about the data that the Neighborhood Design Center collects on the NCR corridors, which Parsons Avenue is one of those corridors. And we were talking about the data, right? The data that comes from Esri and the data being able to kind of map that data. Is that a similar thing to the, the demographics and market data that you mentioned?
Yeah, it can be.
Okay.
We have a number of tools that work with market research and kind of industry data, getting that kind of understanding of what's going on. We work, I'm going to mention this later, but we work pretty closely with the Columbus Metropolitan Library. They have a lot of different type of data sources, databases that are free of charge again to the user. So we have a lot of those types of things. But Kevin Hammond, who's on our team, he's an expert in market research, and he does a great job in working with individuals around that type of stuff. So an individual that's looking for an understanding of their market, of their customers, even if it's down to a more granular or local level, we can support that.
Okay, great.
I want to mention a program that we just completed, and this is where Kathy saw the piece around Councilmember Bankston's program back in January. But the small business, Franklin County, Columbus and Franklin County Small Business Recovery Fund was a program that was put together to support businesses that were impacted by COVID. This business program launched in soft launch in February of last year. And basically we took applications through May, and we've been processing those applications for months. I mean, we had over 5,000 applications that came in, and they've all been processed. Everything's been looked at. Funding has gone out. There's been over $8 million of funding that has gone out. There's still some businesses in the queue that are still yet to be funded. And there's going to be some additional funding that gets added to it to go back and look at some of the applications that were put in that maybe didn't quite meet the number in terms of the scoring levels. So that program was designed to support these businesses. And, the interesting thing to me is that while this was being done in 2022, you had to have been a business in 2020. So you had to have a baseline prior to COVID. And we have 1,000 businesses that we funded. We have 5,000 applications that we took a look at, and there was still a need. I mean, there was a significant need, and a lot of people are thinking, okay, well, the COVID starting to, wane away in terms of its impact on businesses and different things. But there's a lot of businesses that had an impact, and that's where this came into play. So again, big thanks to City of Columbus and Franklin County for stepping up to make that happen. But we were able to work with a number of businesses with this particular program. These are the results, as of year end, that we were able to do. So you see that the program was pretty significant in having an impact on minority-owned businesses, small businesses, businesses of less than 5 employees. We had over 1,000 there. Businesses in LMI, census tracts, low to moderate income, women-owned businesses. So you can see that there, was a pretty significant and very diverse impact for the particular program. And, this is the type of work that we do. I mean, we work very closely with, diverse populations in different areas and different things like that. To support it. I mean, it's really all about, let's grow the small businesses, whomever that is, and go to them and help them where they are with what they need. This is a small list of some of the partners we work with on that program, but these are businesses, partners we work with.
Moment of truth.
So these are partners we work with all the time. And you can see that, we have a very diverse partner list, and that's how we're able to do the kind of things we're able to do with an 8-person staff. So we've got great partners that that are able to impact. And, I don't know every entrepreneur support organization in Columbus, but the ones that we work with are ones that we know how to work with small businesses. And, if we're going to have somebody go work with a small business and we're going to put them with one of our partners, we're going to know that that partner is used to dealing with small businesses versus just, hey, I've got a business, I think I can help. Well, we have some of that too, but the ones that we're going to put a business in front of are ones that we know the area that they're in, know how to deal with small businesses, and it can make an impact. Some startup resources that we have as an SBDC, I just want to kind of point out here. We do have on our website a business development model. It's an online set of classes, for lack of a better word. So we have 8 different modules on this. Individuals can go and access these at their own leisure. They can jump around to the different pieces. So even if you've been in business, so if you're thinking about starting a business, so Kathy, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to start a business in the area. I don't really know that much about business. Well, a couple of things you can do, obviously, connect them to our startup process, but you can also connect them to this to say, hey, here's an online portal that you can go through and work your way through 8 relatively short modules. I think the longest module is probably about 20-25 minutes. And this was built by the educational design team at Columbus State. So it's not just, hey, here's a lecture of Mike talking about small businesses. This is really more just like taking a class at Columbus State. So it goes through a variety of different pieces. So we have that. If you've got a company that's saying, hey, I've been doing okay, I want to do some different things, I know I need to kind of better understand my market, I got to do some research, or I want to do some planning, you can direct them directly to just one of these modules. So while this was originally built for startups, it can work for anybody who has a specific need for this particular area. So it's free of charge to use. You can see it is in our startup area of our website, but they could go to module 5, understand financials. They could just sit, work their way through that at their own pace and get a lot of great information at their leisure whenever they have the availability. We do run the local Kiva program. We are the Kiva hub. So if you're not familiar with Kiva, what it is it's a microloan program that is kind of a blend of crowdfunding and traditional funding. I think personally, this is one of the few real microloan funds in the area, because it's not about looking at your personal credit or even your business credit or anything like that. It's about what we like to call your social credit with other individuals that can kind of vouch for you. So we have, depending on the phase of business you're at and what you've done, you can get maybe up to $15,000. And the way it works is that if you're going to try to pursue this, you put in an application. That application is reviewed by Kiva, which is based in San Francisco. They come back and say, hey, we like your application. What we'd like you to do is to be able to first, for example, get 20 people out of your personal network to put $20 into your campaign. That just shows them that, hey, somebody trusts you enough to at least put $25 of their money into your campaign, right? Once you do that, then it gets opened up to the broader Kiva network that you would do fundraising there. So you're going to continue to do fundraising individually, but there's a lot of matching dollars that comes from Kiva to do this. And they have partners like Google and Amazon and these bigger players that will come in and potentially match your contribution to get you to your level. And once you get that done, once you get your opportunity funded, then they convert it into a traditional loan, which you would pay back on a monthly basis like a regular loan at 0% interest. And as you pay that back, the individuals who have put money into your deal will get paid back. So I've got a few that I've put some money into, and I get an email every month that says, congratulations, here's a $2 payment back on your opportunities. So it's an interesting thing. There again, if you've had, they're not discriminating in terms of personal credit score. They're not discriminating in terms of, say, if you are a restored citizen and you can't get a loan because of that, that doesn't matter here. If you've had other issues, that's not an issue here. So they're really looking at, is the community going to support you to do this type of things? And we have Ellen Harvey, who's on our team. She is the Kiva Hub manager, capital access manager. Her job is to help the individuals do all this. So, you're familiar with crowdfunding. The beauty of crowdfunding is that it also really helps you market your business. So people are starting to hear about what you're doing. So that's a big part of this too. So, and it's also available to for-profit and nonprofits.
Okay, good.
We have a pretty, I think, strong YouTube channel. I recommend people check that out. This is a video that's on our YouTube channel. So individuals that are interested in getting funding, getting a bank loan or something like that. This is a video that Ellen did on loan packaging. What do you need to do? What do you have to pull together? So this is available on our YouTube channel. I mentioned the library and I mentioned resources. We have that available. This is a video that Kevin Hammond did with one of the business librarians at the Columbus Public Library about the library resources. So that's on our YouTube channel also. We have a couple of interview programs that we do that I think are pretty strong. We have a small business program called Small Business Breakthroughs. It's a interview program that I do where I have experts, support organizations come on and talk about their experience and talk about recommendations and tips that they may have. So, and most folks know Iris. Iris was my guest last month. And we just go for an hour and we talk about, different things. So with Iris, we talked about some of her history and story. So that was interesting, and Glory Foods and different things like that. But we also talked about some of the things that she's seen over her years working in banking and working in the spaces. So it's a great opportunity. We have all the videos on YouTube. We started a new series last month called Small Business Spotlight, where we actually take entrepreneurs and small business owners and actually interview and have a conversation with them about what's going on. So we had Destiny Layton from Lux Cleaning as our first guest on that. This month on the 15th, TJ Johnson, who's the president of Trabian Enterprises, is going to come in and tell her story of how she got into the entrepreneurial space and some of the tips and tricks that she's learned over time. Again, these are live. You can actually jump in just like you're doing here. You can jump into it, or we record it and we do put it on our YouTube channel.
I do think that's helpful. At the roundup that was held in January, there were a number of small businesses talking about how they had achieved some successes, and it was just not enough time to really dive into each one. And by having this kind of channel that you can maybe find a business similar to something you're interested in, or just to hear some experiences, I think can be really helpful.
Absolutely. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention on the 15th is SBDC Day on a national basis. So there's a day for everything, right? So this is SBDC Day. And we are actually going to do our interview with TJ Johnson on the 15th. So that'll be live at 11:30. You can find that information on our website. And I said, it's just really an opportunity to kind of showcase some of the stuff that the SBDC does. So that's going to be our contribution to the effort. But like I said, it's going to be on the 15th. I think TJ will do an excellent job. So if you have an opportunity, I could check that out, or at least check it out on the channel. So with that, that's kind of my presentation. I don't know if anybody has any other questions. Be happy to kind of take those or and kind of move forward. But again, if you have an interest in connecting with us at the SBDC, you can go to our website, which is sbdccolumbus.com. You can also email sbdc@cscc.edu or call our office at 287-5294. And be happy to connect with you and see if there's something that we can do to support you as you move your business forward.
So I'm gonna first, if anyone has any questions for Mike, otherwise I'm gonna ask some of our other attendees a couple questions directly, so. Carla or Harry, do you have any questions?
I don't have a question. I just had a comment. I respect a lot of what you do. I did a lot of this stuff in my graduate studies, so I just think it's cool. So thank you for being here. Also, my mom works for Columbus State too. She works in the bookstore. So Sandy Zeller says hi. So.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I know her. That's good. I don't know everybody. There's like 1,000 employees there, but I actually know her.
She's the worst vendor forever. So.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
So my question for you, Harry, is, as you're working with, affordable housing and getting people into more affordable housing, do you see any, and obviously you have the childcare angle, but do you see any connections with, people that are utilizing the affordable housing to try to get into business development, or do you think there's any synergies with that, or do you think that most of your tenants, if you will, or your people interested in already are employed or already have a path forward?
Yeah, with anything like that, usually there's some kind of synergy. I've not seen it directly. I know, like, this is more in a past life when I was working in Toledo. I saw a lot of people that were interested in starting like nonprofits while they were pursuing programs like this as well, which is kind of a roundabout answer to your question, but yeah, this is definitely something where it's easier for me to be a catalyst to say, hey, talk, to Mike Bowers or someone like that to kind of just build that connection as opposed to doing it myself, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
What I've found that's interesting to that point is we did a pilot program in Linden back in 2019, and it was about kind of business starting a business. So, we have, I guess you can see the numbers. I mean, we have tons of people that come to us. We do programming every month because of the demand on startups. And then we said, okay, well, we're going to go into the community and do this. And it was really difficult to try to get a lot of traction there, the way we were doing it. And it was because of a lot of these individuals were, they had to get some of their other stuff together before they even thought about doing this. They weren't even thinking about being an entrepreneur. They had to get their housing handled. They had issues there, or they had childcare issues, or they had, other issues that were very significant. That stuff needed to get kind of settled. Once they were able to settle some of that, then, okay, let's think about what we might want to do. And, a lot of them had, this wasn't even on their radar. So, we could go in and say, hey, we can talk to you about starting a business. And they're like, I didn't even thought about starting a business. It's not even something on my radar, but what we've learned from that, and we've applied now pretty successfully. And I think we've got some other really interesting projects that you're going to see as this year goes on. Trying to kind of that hierarchy of needs thing where, let's do the base piece, and then let's do the next piece, and then let's do the next piece. And once, if an individual needs to go from to somebody who's at A to give them to us at E. So we're putting in some stuff around financial literacy, business literacy, kind of trying to work on that base piece, and then work with other organizations that may be doing stuff on the housing front or on the workforce front, or daycare front, different things like that. We have a program we're currently doing with Action for Children, where they're doing training for home-based daycares, and we're providing some business support to that, because they found that a lot of these individuals, they've done everything they need to do to make sure they can get paid, if they're getting support from Job and Family Services, but they never set their business up right. So
Yeah.
it's like, how do we go back around and support that? So that's one of the things we found, and that's a lot of the pieces and parts that we've now put into place as we continue to move forward.
Yeah, the first thing I remember my economic development class, they told us was that the first thing you need to do before you start a business, like the first thing you look at when you're bringing, because we were talking about specifically about Peloton when that was coming to Troy.
Yeah.
We mentioned that like the first thing they set up was a childcare program, because that was more important to actually bring all of those workers in. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's interesting that you said that. So thank you.
Well, there are a lot of childcare, both brick and mortar businesses on the south side, and and home-based businesses too, right? So Carla, you I know you see the community quite a bit, right? Both on the south side and in Linden. Did you have any thoughts on other connection points for
And
nationwide?
that was kind of like a backup, exactly like what Mike just said, talking about them going into Linden. And it rang very true, because at the very beginning of it, we kind of knew when we went into Linden, we brought in the community engagement team first to find out what we knew that they needed, to ask them, instead of coming and saying, hey, we've got this, instead of finding on the back end, just as he stated, hey, they have to figure out all of these other things before they can even think about a business. So we were able to go in there and take in healthy neighbors, healthy families, and have the childcare piece and have the workforce piece and everything else set up so that they could have the opportunity to then forego for entrepreneurship. And we partner with ECDI to be able to do that. So it was, exactly just seeing that, just letting you know that, yes, we took the same kind of path, and I hear you and understand exactly what you're saying. And it's really good service that you bring to the citizens of this state in Columbus. And so thank you very much.
Thanks, Carla. And certainly some of our other stakeholders, would include Southside Thrive. Southside Thrive has a goal of income mobility. Income mobility can mean a lot of different things, but it can include training, and can include job creation, can include business development. So I think there's a lot of synergies amongst some of the other stakeholders on the south side. So all right, well, I think this was very helpful. So the right answer, based on your last slide, if people have questions, once we post this video, when people start watching it, is they can reach out to that contact information that you provided, right? The email or the phone number. And yeah, okay.
Yeah, that email and the phone number both go to our administrative specialist, and she handles all of it and moves all the pieces and parts around. So your first source will be right there. But having said that, if you you've got an existing business and they've been doing some things, and feel free. I mean, they can connect directly with me, or and I connect them with the right person on our team, whatever needs to be done.
Great. I think this was very helpful. I appreciate your time and all the attention that you've brought to business development, especially small businesses, but the whole life cycle of the businesses, and certainly seeing the small business recovery funds and the effects that that's had on all the different parts of our society. Some of which may not have had the attention that they could have had in the past. I think is helpful to us as a community, because we need all parts of our community working. we can talk about the Intels and the Hondas and so ons of the world, but that's just the very visible, large, elephants in the room. And the underpinning of the community is all of that, right? The large businesses, medium-sized businesses, the small businesses, and the connections, and making them as effective as they possibly be, so that we can all grow together. So I do appreciate your time. Any thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm going to close it. And this was a very good call this morning, and we'll make sure that we broadcast it on social media so that we get get more eyeballs on it. So all right, have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.